Before I throw myself into this review, there's a few things that I want to make clear. First of all, there will be a few things in this review where I will contradict what I said in my 8-bit theater review. So be patient and I'll be sure to give you a good reason for it. 2. I've never actually played Dungeons and Dragons, even though I wanted to, so forgive me for not getting some of the jokes or references. And 3. I effing love this comic. This is Order of the Stick. Welcome, young warriors, to the true horrors and the darkest pit of the Webcomic Relief, where we will today review a comic based on the evil game that is said to make people insane.
Mazes and Monsters is a far-out game. Swords, poison, spells, battles, maiming, killing.
Hey, it's all imagination.
Is it?
Ugh, scary stuff. So, seeing Dungeons and Dragons is such a horrible creation made by the devil himself, it's only understandable that there's a webcomic out portraying the evil of it. The Order of the Stick is a webcomic made by Rick Ballou. The comic takes place in the world of Dungeons and Dragons and don't just portray the love Rick Ballou has for the game, but also brings out the comedic traits in failing roles or having certain abilities. The webcomic began in September 2003 and has now already 6 books, a board game, and over 700 strips. Again, I've never actually played Dungeons and Dragons, but that doesn't prevent me from finding this comic hilarious and well written. And hell, all I know about Dungeons and Dragons I've learned from reading The Order of the Stick. But it's so much more than a manual, so let's dig into the premise. The story begins with the 5.5 heroes as they are venturing through dungeons to find the evil Lord Psychon and kill him. Why? Because a quest told them to. However, this proves to be harder than anticipated, and our hero somehow manages to get into deeper and deeper trouble. It starts out small, but evolves into a story about war, destinies, and love, all portrayed with great humor and excellent storytelling abilities. And this is where most of you are probably gonna go, but you trash-talked 8-bit theater and they're so alike. And while you may be right to a certain degree, I will have to correct you. Let me explain. In 8-bit theater, the story was tomes upon tomes of text for a very simple story that was way too predictable and boring to read because of all the text. In Order of the Stick, it keeps it simple, spreads the text out over a nice amount of pages, and throws in some hilarious jokes. Also, sometimes Rick Ballou even anticipates that the reader thinks it's going to be another stupid cliche and uses this to his advantage, unlike 8-bit theater who just goes with it. I actually think that you can sum up 8-bit theater with USMC. Uncomplicated shit made complicated. While Order of the Stick is much more simple and fun to read. I am amazed that this comic is over 700 strips long. I know that there's comics out there with far more strips, but this comic has such a simple plot that just keeps going and going like the snowball effect. Plus, just imagine being in this D&D session for so long and what it would do to you. Really, I don't want to give too much away about the story because it deserves to be read and also because it progresses very fast. And hey, it's a D&D story. Group of good guys goes to kill bad guy, weird stuff happens. What more do you need? Boobies. All of the characters in the comic are as their stereotype would describe them. Well, to some degree. And do you remember how I somewhat hated and liked the idea in 8-bit theater? Well, here I just love it. Simply because here they have a stereotypical and they are aware of it, using it to their own benefits, and Rich even uses it to crack some hilarious jokes. Also, the characters aren't totally obnoxious. And two more things, they have actual names and the warrior isn't as stupid as a fucking troll. First of all, we got Roy Greenhill. He's the 29-year-old leader of the group, or I guess I should say party. Like I said before, he's also the counter-stereotype of the stupid warrior cliché, which is a nice touch. In fact, he's often the sole sane voice of the entire team. Or is it party? Next we got Belka Bitterleaf and... okay, I gotta say this. I'm a big fan of role-playing. In fact, I've played World of Warcraft on an RP server for a very long time. But whenever I hear last names combined with two words, I wanna punch a baby. I mean, your profession is pretty much determined already from birth with some of these names. Here's an example. Yes, hello. I'm calling about the work as a nursery teacher. Yes, I have 9 years of education. Yes, I can start immediately. Yes, the pay is just fine for me. What? My name? It's Frederick Boyle Children. What? If I could repeat that? Frederick. Oh, the last part? Boyle Children. Boyle Children. Hello? Anyway, to the matter at hand. Belka Bitterleaf is the ranger of the gathering. I'm pretty sure I should stick with party. He's a questionable guy, but he's short and continue to shish kebab, at least from the knees down. Then we got Durkan Thundershield, a 55-year-old dwarf cleric who has a strange fear of trees that comes into play more times than you'd expect. Then we have Vesuvius, who is the high elven wizard of the band of people. Party! Whether Vesuvius is a man or woman is constantly questioned throughout the comic, but hey, as a heavy manga reader, I'm more used to that than I wanna be. And if anything else fails, we always got Rule 63. Next up is Hailey Starshine, who is the female hottie of the party! I did it! Hailey fulfills every role of being a rogue, and swinging most in the direction of rogues in every RPG I've ever played, it's safe to say Hailey is my favorite character. That and she has boobies. She also falls in love with Ellen, who unintentionally more or less can be qualified as the strip's main character. Or at least the most loved one of them all. Ellen's a bard who has taken levels as a dashing swordsman. But being a few sandwiches sort of a picnic doesn't really work in his favor, and he quickly becomes the party's stupid character. And it also says here that it's okay to have a stupid character in your comic as long as he is tolerable and likable. There's always something else here. It says, suck it, 8-bit theater. I would love to go into depth with every character in the comic, but God knows there's a lot, and simply, I don't have the time. But notice, all of them are well written and make great use of the stereotypic prejudice people may have for their classes. I love this art. I know it's fucked up, but I love it. There is a reason the comic is called The Order of the Stick. It is all stick figures, but very well made sticks. And like anything else in the comic, Rick doesn't waste any time in using this to his advantage to crack jokes. Plus, unlike 8-bit theater, you can actually tell what's going on here, and that's almost entirely without sound effects. Heed my words, aspiring webcomic writers, you don't necessarily need to be able to draw like a professional to make it in this profession. As long as your art has character and passion, then you'll do just fine. How do I know this? Look at this art and think 6 books, a board game, and a hell lot of t-shirts. I also really like how Rick isn't lazy. I mean, just look here at the first page and pay attention to all that is going on. And he even makes backgrounds that are not only well made, but actually has a lot of details, considering the style. I'm sure there's some critics out there who will give this comic hell for its art style, that it isn't detailed or the coloring is very basic. But who are you gonna listen to? Them or me? In case you haven't guessed it yet, I love The Order of the Stick, even though I've never even seen people play Dungeons and Dragons. but this webcomic's charm, excellent jokes, deep characters and hilarious story really makes me want to try it out sometime. The premise is great because it follows a typical Dungeons & Dragons story and evolves into something much greater. The premise is an 8 because it's very good, but to score a 9 or a 10 I'll have to be surprised and amazed. But with that said, it's not bad in any way to get an 8. The characters are a 9. They are stereotypical, but never so much you can anticipate what they're gonna do, and they always evolve and become more and more detailed characters that you can't help but to love. Also, there's a character for almost every type of person out there, and they almost all get equally as much screen time. The art is an 8 as well. Again, 8 is not bad at all, but you have to amaze me to come up on a 9 or 10. But the Order of the Stick has a very unique art style that emits both personality, charm and passion from the artist. All in all, the Order of the Stick scores an 8. The comic is a must read, especially if you're a Dungeons & Dragons fan. So that was another webcomic I love and grew up with. Now, if you will excuse me, I have a dragon I'll need to vanquish. I'll see you guys at the next Webcomic Relief. Take care. Fun audio!
It's D&D, fighting with the legends of yore. It's D&D, never kissed a lady before. Nope. Woo! Do it. Play a little guitar, Tyke. Come on. Play us a little guitar.